two of my incisors that have burst through the gum.
Oh, yeah, no, about your teeth. So tell me this thing now about, you started telling me, what do they call you?
They're shark.
Shark?
Shark, yes.
Okay.
I have two of my incisors that have burst through the gum.
Okay.
So.
Oh, like your wisdom teeth?
No. I have, fun fact about that, I actually have all four of my wisdom teeth properly grown.
Really? I had to get mine surgically removed.
Yeah, from what I've heard, that never happens.
Welcome down the rabbit hole, friends. This is part 2 of talking about Paul Ferguson's new fiance in prison, who is calling him multiple times a day, and in my opinion, being extremely inappropriate with a guy who's clearly not operating at his biological age. With my last video, many people left comments about Paul not having autism due to the evaluations done by the court system. While I don't consider myself an autism expert, I do have a relevant background. In my former life, I was an ABA consultant, and I helped perform testing for children on the spectrum. However, we all know that only a physician can give the ultimate diagnosis. As a nurse, I immediately went to work in specialized autism units, and I've continued to work with children with special needs throughout my career. I also have a child on the spectrum, and I've worked with professionals actually around the globe to get his autism diagnosis. I have a lot to say about how the evaluations and diagnostic criteria work or don't work. So I respect everyone's point of view. And of course, most will be led to believe a court-appointed doctor's opinion. However, I will be reviewing why I simply think this opinion is incorrect in my upcoming deep dive about Paul. This is all about family history and what I believe could be a long generational history of being on the spectrum. And it's important to acknowledge and review all of this information in the background of Paul's family. The reason why is because I want to prevent a future Timothy Ferguson from being tortured and killed. I want to look deeply and dissect cases such as this so that we can get to the root of what was really happening here and how we can better prevent it from happening again. We will not prevent a thing by ignoring people like Shonda and Paul, throwing them away in prison systems, and never looking into what caused them to operate on a level that we see ourselves as being totally inhuman. It's not just about autism. There are so many factors going on here, and I'm not making a claim that Shonda or Paul should be treated differently or taken out of prison. Nothing like that. I'm just saying we need to be honest with ourselves and dissect the truth of what happened so that we can help people before they ever get to this point again and someone else gets treated the way that Timothy was treated. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you'll continue to listen in so that we can really use this case as an opportunity to expand our knowledge and understanding of why things like this happen. The next steps are how do we prevent it? So let's get into what's going on with Paul.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
Paul Ferguson.
Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Hey, baby.
Hello? Hi, I'm in my car. I can talk actually like normal now. Hold on, this person's trying to open their door and I was going to hit mine. Hold on. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Get the fuck out of the way. Come on. Ay. Okay, there we go. It was some black guy. He had his fucking music cranking. I don't know. I'm not like really political, but I hope to God Trump gets back in office. That's all I can say.
Okay, so this is one of the newer calls with Paul's fiance who we're calling Jenny. In this specific call, I think she was at work and they were talking on the phone before this phone call and she couldn't speak quote unquote freely to him. So she calls him back once she's able to go and get in the car. We're going to hear her talk a lot of, BS about politics, Trump, whatever else. But the point of all of this for me is the fact that once again, we have a significantly older woman, I believe in her 40s. Paul is 21. And as far as we know, Jenny has said that she has a daughter that is around Paul's age. This is an incredibly toxic relationship and situation. It is a woman taking advantage of a very young man with special needs who just got put into prison and doesn't really have anybody to talk to. He's desperate. In a future video, when we talk about Paul, we will go over like some of his calls with his brother, his father, and kind of the crazy dynamic that goes on there, specifically with his dad. And the way that I really see Paul as someone who kind of got left out in the cold, someone who was not taken care of by his parents. He has been in and out of foster care, for years of his life. And I really think that when Timothy needed a lot of intervention and other children were clamoring with other needs, Paul got a little bit ignored. It does not in any way mean that what he did is okay or there's a reason for what he did. It's just a matter of understanding that I don't think Paul got the intervention he probably desperately needed. I don't think he got the instruction he needed, the help with social cues that he needed. He didn't get any help. I think all of the kids in the family struggled with that, but maybe Paul more so because he was just able to kind of cross the line into people not thinking he had a disability. Whereas, for example, the eldest brother, Nolan, really seems to have done very well for himself, does not seem to be on the autism spectrum. And so, Paul was one of the kids who kind of had a problem but didn't get it taken care of. Timothy's problem was acknowledgeable enough. And Timothy went to foster care at an early age where he received the diagnosis through social services. His foster parents are the ones that said something is off, something needs to be looked at, something needs to be evaluated here. And they are the ones that got him the diagnosis and treatment that he needed. I do believe it's possible that if Timothy had never gone into that kind of setting, he, like Paul, may not have received the diagnosis. Maybe he would have, but there's just a lot going on there with all of that. And now we have this woman inserting herself into this horrible tragedy, really making a mockery of the fact that Paul committed a horrible crime. He participated in horrible behaviors, horrible acts, and he needs treatment for it. He needs some kind of, intervention, therapy, and counseling to really help him understand, yeah, you did wrong. What you did, it's not all on your mom. It's not all about what happened to you when you were growing up. You made some really poor decisions. And if there's ever going to be a chance for you to even try to get out in 30 years, we need to correct your way of thinking about this. Or else what happened to Timothy could happen again.
Yeah, a little bit. Same here.
Yeah, I'm a Trump fan, and I had a lot of haters for it.
You saw the video I had about what was it, like Trump and Biden?
Oh, I heard it.
Nope, never again. Not.
I watched every one of your videos on TikTok. I saw all of your stuff. Yeah.
Right, because you're a stalker, and the whole point of this was to find an infamous guy that you could latch on to, control, and potentially get some fame, even if it's infamous fame, off of being his girlfriend. And I can't say like how obvious it is what's going on here, but clearly she spent a lot of time watching Paul's really ridiculous YouTube. He comes across as a child on that YouTube. For you to say that you watched that extensively and you're attracted to him, and this is predatory behavior. This is someone who is interested in someone she can control, like that you operate on such a young level that she can control you. This is really beyond sick, and it's been kind of interesting to me that some other creators or people that are talking about it don't really call out how disgusting this is.
It was weird, because that girl, whatever, she posted that new video 20 minutes prior to me telling you what was on it. I didn't listen to it, obviously, but that's what it said. And wait till she gets our phone calls. That shit is going to be blasted everywhere. And you know what's going to be funny about it?
What?
I also believe, and this is just my opinion, that this woman, Jenny, is way too aware of Zavgirl, one of the largest YouTube streamers who's talking about the Paul Ferguson, Shonda Vander Ark case. It makes me wonder if she didn't even get interested in it because of Zavgirl's, coverage. Nothing against Zavgirl, just that this woman, Jenny, is way too aware and almost into the fact that Zavgirl is talking about Paul and is going to get Jenny's phone calls and talk about her as well. I mean, this is way over the top. It's clearly someone looking for the attention, and Paul is just completely oblivious. We are seeing the basis of someone who doesn't know how to interact with people on a social level, and he just doesn't get it. He doesn't get the ways in which he's being taken advantage of.
The funny thing about it is going to be, I'm driving right now, by the way, if it sounds weird. Basically, what's going to happen is, because my name on YouTube is Jalen also, I don't have my real name on much stuff. Like, even on my Facebook page, it says Jalen, and then it has my last name spelled backwards. Just to keep the stalkers away. And so,
yeah,
once they put that all together, if somebody's smart enough, they're going to be like, holy shit, this girl wasn't fucking lying. So, yeah. So what did you do tonight? I don't know if you do anything there, but what did you do?
I played my games for a bit.
And you spoke to that girl and you said someone's a lesbian?
No. I drew a line between, I made sure that Kitty knew about the situation.
Okay, another prime example of what's really going on here and why it's important to the story of what happened to Timothy and the story of what's going on with this family. We have a situation in which Paul is starting to talk to other people who are coming forward and wanting to befriend them. And one of them is named Katie. She's not me, okay? But Katie is speaking to Paul via the prison pen pal system and doing a couple of phone calls with him. And Paul has had to tell Jenny about it. And then Jenny has made it perfectly clear to Paul that he needs to be aware that he should not be talking to any other girls. He needs to make it clear to anyone he's talking to that Jenny is his only quote-unquote love. And here is a point at which Paul has to kind of describe that and make a big deal about how he makes sure that everyone knows that Jenny is the only one for him. Later on in future calls, we'll hear Jenny really push Paul away from anyone else, people who are trying to help him, people who are innocently coming forward of their own volition, just really wanting to help someone who they believe is on the autism spectrum. Whether you believe that or not, you have to see the difference in what Jenny is doing and what people like Katie, JoJo, and Randy are trying to do for Paul. So it's pretty gross to kind of listen to this, but we'll also hear Paul. He's kind of exaggerating because I've heard his phone call with Katie and he doesn't really bring up Jenny, and he doesn't say to Katie, you can't have me, only Jenny can have me. None of that happens, but he's going to make a big deal about it here. So they're kind of living in their weird fantasy, anime world. At least Paul is. And Jenny is taking advantage of all of that for her own gain, whatever that gain may be.
What was going on, made it clear. And she only thinks of me as a friend, wants to be there, make sure I'm all right and whatnot. And her daughter is a lesbian. So you don't have any competition, baby girl.
So what did you tell her about me? Or what did you say?
I explained that I'm very loyal. There's no one in the world I'd rather be with than you.
Aww. Please don't break my heart, okay?
I won't. You know I won't, baby girl.
Okay.
I love you too much for that.
I love you too, and I said I would never be with anyone. I'm not going to break your heart. No way. I said, I was going to be single for the rest of my life. That was something that I said to myself before we got in touch because I was just so... Yes. And it was I was just...
touch. You saw me. That's about where it started, obviously.
Well, I saw you, and I was like, huh. And then I'm like... And then, I heard the case, which was atrocious,
Very.
which, like I said, I try to not talk about that where we're recorded. Those are things that we need to talk about alone, like when we can actually talk.
Yeah.
Because don't think that, like, I'm just brushing it under the rug. Of course, there's things. That's why I want to come visit you. I just wish I knew where the hell they were going to put you, because I would come see you before you made your final decision about it. Because, of course, I want to talk to you about it.
Not about the final decision. I don't need to make a final decision. I've already made it.
Really? Even though I'm 48?
Even though you're 48, Pippi.
Wow, so almost 50 years old, and I've seen a lot of her pictures, at least the pictures that people are claiming are Jenny, and there are definitely many that are extremely photoshopped, and there are a couple that look more like an older woman. So, once again, just very inappropriate for an almost 50-year-old woman to be calling this 21-year-old guy who's not operating at the level of a 21-year-old. There's not much to say here except to consistently say, like, this is wrong. It's wrong on so many levels, and it really makes me rethink whether or not prisoners should have access to these kinds of relationship. In the past, I've kind of been like, well, I mean, what can you do? There does have to be like some availability for people to interact with others outside of the prison system. But in this type of situation, I just think, it's gross. There's a predatory problem going on here. And I really don't think that Paul, given everything that he did and what happened to him, he shouldn't be spending his entire day playing video games and then talking and sexting this woman all day long. That's no kind of punishment for him. I mean, really, maybe the punishment would be to actually do the work of confronting what really happened. And, for there to be some level of suffering. I mean, even when I listen to phone calls that Paul has with his brother Nolan, his older brother Nolan, who sends him money for phone calls and stuff like that, I really find myself feeling so disgusted with Paul because he's constantly asking for money. And I think to myself, it must be very annoying to Nolan, who makes it clear that he's working like 12-hour days, he's working multiple jobs, he's doing everything he can to make ends meet, to hear Paul basically say, like, I'm having trouble beating this video game and I need some more money so I can play, I can get some additional time on my iPad. I mean, it must be incredibly annoying to even hear that from someone like Paul. So let's continue on and hear what else they have to say.
I love you.
Wow. How lucky am I? Wow. But it's funny because, like, these stupid drunk guys at my job, right? They were bothering me, like, really, really bad.
Yep, I saw your text.
And I've been going...
They don't even know that your boyfriend's not your fiance is not a psycho.
Well, it's funny because what I said was there were 5 of them and they were drinking downstairs all night. Now I can park and talk to you. That's how close I live to my job. You just drove home with me. So basically, they came outside and there were 5 of them and they were drinking downstairs the whole night. And then they're asking me, they're like, oh, you don't have a wedding ring, so I guess you're not married. And I said, like, I'm the way I am with you, but when it comes to people, like, I'm very standoffish. That's just me. Even when it comes to affection, like if I'm hugging a guy friend, not that I have any anymore, but if I did, I give them the bro hug. Like, I don't want my boobs touching anyone. I'm very, very distant. I don't like if people come in my bubble. Like, you're the only human being on this planet right now, and hopefully forever, that can come inside that bubble. So basically, they were all guessing my age, and and I'm like standing there, and they're drunk, and I'll be honest, I went outside for a cigarette, and then they came out, and so they were all guessing my age. The youngest that I was guessed at was 25. Somebody came very close. Somebody said 42, and I don't have any makeup on or anything. Like, I was like total shit right now, but they were all wrong. I was like, nope. I'm like, keep going up, go up, go up. And I was hoping that would get them to leave me alone. But, men are scumbags, so
not all.
Why I wish that you could just protect me. Well, not you. You're not. I wish that I had you with me. And then they're asking me, so you don't have a ring on, so you're not married. They're like, do you have a boyfriend? I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, tell me about him. Does he live around here? And I'm like, put on the news. I said, he's on the news. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'll fucking kill you if you bother me, so turn the fucking news on, and I walked away. And I didn't say any name, and I was just saying that, just, like, not because of what your situation was, but I was just saying that to kind of freak them out.
Yep, granted, I have been on the news as much as I'm not proud to admit. But,
you're on the news constantly, like on social media, like you're everywhere. You are known by everyone, and that's what makes me scared that I'm going to lose you because, you know, like look at all these like other people, like really bad people, like serial killers, like Bundy and all that. They had women flocking for them in jail, for these serial killers in jail. Even the guy, the guy that was like a metalhead guy and he was like a Satanist, the Night Stalker. Women, well, he was a serial killer back like in the 70s and 80s, and like women, like he was getting thousands of letters a day from women that were just totally like obsessed with him. And
I can promise
so that's
you if
my
that happens, I'm going to just get rid of every single one of them before I even consider reading them.
Yeah, because like I'm just afraid a younger girl's going to come along and then it's going to, you know.
Baby, you don't have to worry. Listen to me. Don't talk for right now. Just listen. You don't have to worry.
Okay.
I am here for you, and I always will be. I will always love you. Nothing will ever take me away from you, baby, okay?
Okay, you made me alive again. I believe you. Yeah. I know I shouldn't, but I believe that you're my soulmate, and that's why we connected the way we did. Because, like, basically, like, when I talk to you, I feel like I've already been with you for, like, a year.
I know. I felt the same way. It was weird, but it was, like I said,
really
good weird.
It's a good weird. Like, even, like, when we first spoke on the phone, like, you know what I mean? Like, did you ever, like, talk to someone and it's all awkward, and you're like, okay, what do you say? And because I'm a shy person, but with you, everything was just, it was just so natural.
It just flowed.
We didn't have any awkward moments at all. It was like from the first minute I spoke to you, I felt like I knew you already. And no, not because of just the media, but just because of your personality and how kind you are. And it makes me, now that I know you and I love you, it makes me so angry when I hear what I hear on the media. It makes me so fucking angry. It makes me almost want to do a fucking interview.
Some people don't understand. If you want my honest opinion, I'd be careful there.
Yeah, but it's like I want to stick up for you so bad and just tell people you have him so wrong. And you know what? If we do get married, it probably will be on the fucking news, or it'll be somewhere. There'll be a picture or something, and I'm going to be the most beautiful bride for you. And they're going to be like, people are going to be just like, what the fuck's going on? You know, especially when my age comes out, you know. But, you know, no, I'm just, I don't know, like, my life was just nothing. You don't understand. Like, the last thing that happened that you don't know about, there's one more piece that you don't know, and I'll tell you what it is. Okay, so what made me decide that I was never going to be with anyone ever again was because I had a horrifically abusive, narcissistic ex that I broke up with 2 years ago, okay, and I've been single since then. And so 2 years ago I broke up with him, and this guy manipulated me so bad, like mind-wise, like he like messed with my head so bad, not in regards to, because I broke up with him, but it was like he was the master manipulator. And who he pretended to be when we first started talking was not at all who he ended up being. And he asked me to move to my home state of Rhode Island to be with him, and I went down there, and like the next day, everything like was just, he was a nutcase basically. He was crazy, and he was just a nutcase. So I left, and I went into a hotel for 4 days in Rhode Island, homeless, or not knowing where the fuck to go. And it was very depressing because my family, well, not my family, my friends that are there, I thought for sure I'd be in the safest place to be homeless, but they all just kind of shunned me. And so I was in this crazy fog, and I said after that incident, I was like, you know, people can say that they love you, but it doesn't necessarily mean shit.
Yeah.
You know?
As I've said before, I never take those words lightly. You know, with family, it's just something that comes out. You know, when I'm talking to my mom or my brother, it's, you know, I love you, or I love you too. You know, but when it comes to actual romance, those words never are taken easily, never said easily. I promise you that.
So,
It
like,
might become
have you ever...
second nature in time, but that doesn't mean that they were taken lightly, ever.
So I know that you're a virgin, but have you been in any relationships?
Other than the one toxic relationship back in high school, no.
Okay, so she knows he's a virgin. She knows he's a baby, really, and I guess that's what she's into, and it's incredibly disgusting. Everything about this is very cringe, and the reason I'm playing them is just to really give this kind of knowledge you can only obtain by actually listening to what's going on here, that this is truly like a case of grooming. This young kid who doesn't, even really understand what's going on half the time into being kind of like subservient to her. Jenny is definitely an interesting character in this entire incredibly horrible tragedy which occurred and should be like examined from the point of, once again, how we can prevent this from happening again. And yet it seems like both Shonda and Paul have gone from like being tried in the courtroom to immediately coming back, realizing they're going to be in prison for a long time and just looking everywhere for some ass. Because Shonda as well has started a relationship with another female. And it's almost as if when I listen to these audio recordings that they have zero thoughts about what happened in the court, zero remorse or frustration or really anything about the reality and the consequences that they've been given. It's like they just sort of adapted quickly to like, okay, this is my life now. It's not so bad because I don't have to work and I have access to, phones and texting and games and movies. So this will be my life. And they've really accepted it and moved forward with living like this. And I just wonder, like, where's the real consequence for it? And when people say like, well, maybe people like this don't deserve therapy or who cares, like part of therapy is really forcing them to confront what they've done, not just sit in a jail cell all day and ignore it and pretend like it never happened and get on a game. That's like the form of life that I least want them to be able to live. I want them to have to confront what they did and deal with it and be around other people in like group therapy who are going to call them out for their bullshit, and instead they're getting to just kind of isolate themselves and do things that keep their mind off of what happened, and that's really unfortunate. We'll listen to a little bit more and then I'm going to have to go forward and make a third part to this series, maybe even more, because I really wanted to get into several other phone calls that are also pretty disgusting to me.
That one kind of soured me through high school. I was a junior and she was a freshman. She was an ex-friend of my sister, and at the time I was too nice to know how to say no. Because, to be honest, she didn't actually interest me, but I was too nice a guy to say no.
So you weren't like attracted to her, you mean?
No, but even in the relationship, I tried my best to do everything that I believed was right, make her happy. Like I said, all she wanted was sex, and that never happened. And so I was in lunch detention, and the person who was there the staff who was watching us got a call. And it was like a teacher who she had talked to, and he was the one who gave me I guess you could call it the breakup notice. You could say that I was
what did he say?
I don't remember the exacts. I just know that part of it was not to come near her anymore. I was hurt. I had tried my best to make her happy, but moreover, I was pissed that she didn't have the gall to do it herself.
That's a coward. Well, what's funny about that? People, like a lot of my exes, like just ghosted me, and I'm like, wow, these guys are such pricks, but yet when it comes to the end of the day, they don't even have enough in them to say the truth. It's like, let me just ghost her. Yeah, exactly. And, I'm a really, really straightforward person, like super straightforward. Like, I don't lie. I hate lying. Like, my father was the biggest male slut and alcoholic that I've ever known. My own father was the biggest male slut. When my dad died, 10 years ago, do you know he had 2 fiancées, and they both found out about
You have
each
1
other when
minute
he went
left.
to the ICO. Oh shit! You gotta call me back after our minute's up, okay? You promise to call me back?
I will, baby girl. You know I will. I'll probably swap
Oh, not
phones. I don't want to be standing for this entire time. But
oh, you're standing? I'm sorry.
There's only 1 seat here. It's not your fault. Somebody was using the other one when I called. So.
Oh, okay. Well, if you want to wait for your seat, you can.
No, the seat's open now. They're not there anymore.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
So
Because I don't want to not talk to you.
I'll call you back, baby girl. You know I will.
All right.
I would say so if I wasn't going to.
Okay, good. I love your voice. You're so sweet. It's so weird that we're talking. Oh, my God. It's so wild. It really, really is. Okay, I know it's going to hang us up here in a second, so I love you, and I'll talk to you in a few minutes, okay?
Love you, and I'll talk to you in a sec.
Okay, baby. Bye.
Bye-bye.